Hello and welcome to my deep dive into Taylor Swift's Midnights. For me, this album was like 1989 meets rap meets folklore. The 1989 was the poppy feel, the rap was the darkness, and then the folklore was the lyrics. And I guess I could say it meets Evermore because it is very reflective. The really cool thing about Midnights is that she's reflecting on all these different eras of her life, which makes it correlate so well to the Eras Tour, because that's what this album is. It's a journey through her life thus far, through all these sleepless nights that she said she was writing about. The concept behind this album was every song is telling the story of a sleepless night that she's had in her life, which makes it a very captivating puzzle for all of us deep divers. You know, you want to put the story together, which is why I'm so excited for the concert too, because she could hypothetically tell a linear story. Like, she could tell a linear life story through her music that covers all different albums, you know, because all these albums have been so reflective of different times in her life, her past 4 albums. So she could start with stuff from the very beginning of her career, but also insert songs from these most recent albums that reflect on that time in her life from a different point of view. Like, that's fucking beautiful. I am so in love with Folklore. It's very hard to beat that on my album scale. Like, this didn't have this same sort of through line that you get with Folklore where it all feels like one huge connected story. These are like lots of smaller stories that I'm connecting with crazy line grabs to all different other songs in her repertoire. It's so much fun for someone like me who loves connecting the threads and putting together puzzle pieces and analyzing lyrics and all that shit. Now, I know that a shitload of other people have analyzed these lyrics in their own way, and you don't have to tell me their ways. Like, I've seen them on the outskirts of things, even though I've tried to ignore them because I like to just have my own vision and have my own analysis. I know they're there, and I know that, like, my analysis isn't the analysis. So please just, like, this is my perspective on it. This isn't the word of God. This isn't what Taylor was thinking. This is the meaning and analysis that I have pulled from her lyrics, okay? So you don't need to argue with me in the comments. Like, I'm not under the impression that this is the way. All of this is just my interpretation. You can interpret it whatever way you want. And I'm gonna, like, mention people and different stories from different albums, and this is how I think these things connect. The first track on the album is Lavender Haze. I'm gonna give Lavender Haze a 3 out of 5 stars. I just don't love it, but now when it comes on, I jam to it. In the beginning, I was like, eh. It is one of those songs that musically, at first I couldn't even really feel the lyrics because the music was so poppy. But gradually, of course, the lyrics started to come out and sink in. I don't like to look up the lyrics either until I've done as much analysis as I can and tried to hear as many as I can on my own. I like to challenge myself in that way, and I feel like it's so much more fun when all of a sudden a lyric will hit you for the first time, even though you're listening to it for like the 7th time. You didn't notice this other lyric because of the way it's said or because of the music at that time, whatever the case may be. That's a lost episode. Whatever the case may be, it's magical when you hear that lyric and then it connects to like 5 other lyrics in different songs, and all of a sudden the story starts to... It's great. So what I love about Lavender Haze is that it's kind of the antithesis of some songs from Folklore. She is always so worried about the reality of being in a relationship with her. She talks about this in Lover too, like, you're getting into a fishbowl with her. I could never give you peace in peace on Folklore. She's talking about the same thing. Everyone's trying to see what I'm doing at all different times, but I can be here for you and I can give you me, and that's like the best I can do is give you everything that I have. And in Lavender Haze, it's her realizing that her partner is dealing with this so well. He's not giving it a second thought what anyone else thinks or what anyone else says about them, and it's just so magical for her because she's never been in a relationship where that hasn't ruined it for her. There's so many nods to 1989 in this album. I didn't like 1989. I know I'm biased because I was in a bad place when that came out. I didn't do a deep dive on 1989. Honestly, there's a lot of lyrics I'm not aware of that were in 1989 because the lyrics just weren't getting through to me. All I heard was the music and like the chorus. I wasn't connected to what Taylor was doing in her life at that time like I am in all these other albums. I feel very connected to her like where she is in her mindset in her life era, but during 1989 I was off in my own little space bubble and I couldn't even feel the lyrics that I heard. Like I couldn't connect them. I felt like there was no story, right? And then I go back to it while I'm analyzing Midnights and it all hits me like a bus to the face. Right before Midnights, honestly, I started getting into 1989. I forget what song I re-listened to and I was like, wait a minute, wait. Oh my God, I think it was Harry Styles As It Was. Yeah, again, this is my analysis. Please let me live in my own little world. So in my head, As It Was is about the tumultuous time where Harry and Taylor were in a relationship. That song reminded me of a Taylor Swift song lyrically. I couldn't get out of my head that it felt like a 1989 era song. So I go back to 1989, and for some reason during that time, I was like, oh, Harry and Taylor aren't actually together. This is just like publicity pictures. I was in this like weird cynical era where I like didn't believe any Hollywood pictures either. I was like, this is just paparazzi. This isn't real. I know that like Never Go Out of Style, we all are like, that's about Harry, obviously. It's a play on his last name. But when I go back and listen to the album, all of it, like basically all of that album is about her relationship with Harry Styles. And it's like, clearly this was real. Past Christine was, again, in a bad place where nothing was real to her. Everything was just like phonies. I was just blown away by listening to 1989 because all of a sudden I saw the story. All of a sudden I saw the lyrics. And right now, I'm in my 1989 era, okay? That's what I'm in. It's weird. It came so late. What is it, like 10 years later almost? I'm like, it's hit me. Hi. So, what was I even talking about? Lavender Haze. So, in her past relationships, the public spectacle aspect has been a big factor in why they crashed and burned. I mean, of course, there are other factors, but she's written songs about it before. One of the most obvious ones is I Know Places on the 1989 album, which, again, I never did a deep dive until now. So I go back to I Know Places, and I had started looking at pictures of Harry and Taylor from when they were dating, back when I was obsessed with As It Was when it first came out. And I see these pictures where they're like wearing sweaters with foxes on it. And of course there's references to foxes in I Know Places. And then there's their necklace with the little paper airplane. And she says like, paper airplane, it's flying, flying. Harry Styles is those metaphors. That's what we correlate in Taylor's music. So I Know Places, she's talking about the fucking foxes and where they can hide. And there's all these paparazzi pictures from the foxes. And this song is about hiding from the paparazzi. I know places we can hide and you're bulletproof. Our relationship is so strong. This isn't gonna do anything to us. But in the end, it did crash and burn. Then I Know Places, that song lyrically goes right into Wonderland. Flashing lights, we pretended it could last forever. The flashing lights mentioned, like, that's the paparazzi. She says, like, I reached for you, but you were gone. That's, like, all you had to do was stay. Like, Harry Styles clearly left her in the middle of the night, and it is in so many different songs. Like, I mean, not clearly. In my head, he clearly left her house in the middle of the night, okay? And all you had to do was stay. There's so much there about their relationship through these songs, and I can't believe I fucking missed it for so fucking long, okay? I just couldn't believe it. Like, she had this whole Bible about their relationship that I never opened up and deep dived, or into whatever relationship this is that she's referring to, okay? And then this comes all back to Question in this album, and there are so many references in Question to all the lyrics in these songs. You search the world for something else to make you feel like what we had, and in the end, in Wonderland, we both went mad. Like, that line just lines up so much with Question and how she's like, you painted all my nights a color I have searched for since. I'm just jumping to Question. At first, I didn't love the song. And then on like the fourth listen, I was like, whoa, did you leave her house in the middle of the night? Oh, hit me. And I was like, that sounds like a familiar thread. That's what triggered the entire 1989 deep dive. 1989, we talk a lot about leaving her in the middle of the fucking night. The song Question, now in my head, like if I was putting together a storybook, I would put it next to the picture of Harry Styles and Taylor Swift talking at like the 2021 Grammys when Taylor won for Folklore. Can I ask you a question? 1989 is so cohesive. And I never realized it. Like, I didn't put any of these fucking songs together. Like, what was wrong with my brain at that time? Dark time. It was a dark time. I know it was a dark time. I wrote down so many fucking lyrics over here. People like you always want back the love they pushed aside. People like me are gone forever when you say goodbye. All you have to do is stay. Comes after, like, are we out of the woods? Like, are we out of the woods? She sets him free and like lets him go because that's what he wants. And then he comes back and is like, wait a minute, this is what happened here. Like, this was such an unsteady, like undefined relationship that was back and forth. And there's some of this at the end of Red, too. Like, Message in a Bottle, I'm convinced, is about this same relationship. It's about the start of this 1989 relationship. And then In Question, one thing after another, fucking circumstances, I don't know, is it like, that's what all of 1989 is. It's this like relationship that's like, I don't know what's going on, we're seeing other people, but I fucking love you. No strings attached though, because it obviously can't work, but then it keeps coming back together and it's so intense. She has that line, does it feel like everything's just like second best after that meteor strike? This also connects to Labyrinth. In my head, Labyrinth is about this same thing, about how they're falling in love and it's happening so fast and burning so bright every time, and you know, she's afraid of elevators, they rise too fast, so it can't last. She makes plane metaphors, which I feel like she makes a lot about this relationship. The plane turned back around and she kept thinking it was over, and then it would come right back around, and she'd let it come back around because it was such an intense, wonderful feeling to be together. I love the spider web that comes out of Question and Labyrinth. Even though Labyrinth was like my least favorite song on the album at first, it's become one that I don't even realize it's on. I'm just singing to it because I'm just letting the album run and I just know all the words, and it's so familiar now instead of being like the slow song that I skip. So I'm giving Question 5 out of 5 stars. I love this song. It's one of my favorites on the album now. Some of the lyrics that stand out here in my web, my story web, are good girl, sad boy, big city, wrong choices. So in my head also, the reference to Sad Boy makes me think of both As It Was and Forever Winter, the Taylor Swift song on Red Taylor's version. That I love that song, and I picture that being about, again, this same relationship. And then she has this line, did you wish you put up more of a fight? Oh. And then again, there's the word wish. Taylor is very intentional about her word usage in her lyrics throughout, again, her entire repertoire. It connects right back to I wish you would. I wish you would come back, which is never na-na-na-na-na-na-na. I love the lyric, we're a crooked love in a straight line down. Makes you want to run and hide, but it made us turn right back around. That goes right back to Labyrinth. I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it right around? All the songs connect, and this is through like multiple different albums. Back to Question. On Question, we're also talking about the sad boy. It sounds like he has some substance abuse issues. You were on something, one drink after another, like he's struggling. And then again, in Forever Winter, that person is struggling and she just doesn't know the depths of like how much he's struggling in this time. Can I ask you a question? I just love the whole tone of it too. Like, it's something that we always wonder about with relationships that fell apart but burned so bright. They don't have much resolution. Like, Question is closure. It's working up the courage to just be like, hey, it's been years and it's okay. Like, I'm not here to get back together, but like, I just want to know, did it feel this way for you? Did you leave a house in the middle of the night? This time in her life was so tumultuous relationship-wise. Again, they had this really intense connection, but nothing was official, so they would be places and they would be with other people and like feelings would be hurt, but then they would like come back to each other because like she talks about in Style, like, weren't you with that other girl? Yeah, but like all I could think about was you. Like, this whole album is Taylor coming to the microphone and admitting all the things that are usually societally unacceptable to admit. So like in Lavender Haze, she's straight up saying, everyone just keeps asking me if I'm gonna be your bride, because the only kind of girl they see is one night or a wife. And that's a running theme in this album, how everyone's like, oh my god, are you gonna get married? Like, are you gonna settle down and get married? And she's hitting all these impactful, wonderful milestones and winning all these awards, but all anyone ever fucking wants to know is like, are you his wife? Are you gonna take his last name? You see this in Midnight Rain, you see this in You're on Your Own, Kid, you see this in Bejeweled even, and High Fidelity. It's just like the concept of marriage and marriage at a young age can confine and limit the experiences you have. And she wants to experience everything, and now she has experienced so much and done so much, but still all anyone ever wants to talk about is, are you getting married? And I love the concept of Lavender Haze. I love how it comes back around throughout the album. Like, we see her mention it in The Great War, which, it's just such a nice reference back to the start of the album as we start the second half of the album, the 3 a.m. section. She talks about how Lavender Haze, she heard that in Mad Men, and it's kind of the love bubble you're in when you're dating someone and you've completely fallen for them. You know, you see them with rose-colored glasses, and you kind of see the world through those rose-colored glasses. There's also references to the pressure that she feels when she's in the beginning of a relationship, how the public will see them and talk about them, and how that will affect her partner. And in Lavender Haze, it's not affecting him at all. But you get the sense that she was struggling herself with it, and maybe, you know, drinking more and getting high more. Folklore, I feel like, happens after the haze. You know, I feel like Folklore is this same relationship in my mind. You all saw my Folklore video, and I'm still like 110% like, that is my story. I have not changed it in my story Bible here, and I will continue to back that up with lyrics as we go through here. If you haven't watched my Folklore video, I will link to it in the description if you want to watch it and then come back, because I think it's important to have that backdrop of what I'm connecting here to really understand where I'm coming from with my new extensions of those stories. And I have an Evermore one as well, which I guess I'll also be building off. Basically here, the Lavender Haze was the start of that relationship. And then I think that all kind of came crashing down when the Great War happens. The Great War completely affirms my entire Folklore story. I couldn't even, when I listened to the Great War, I was like, ah! The Great War also harkens back to that song on Folklore, Epiphany. There's so much harkening back to that line about reaching for me when I'm in my darkest time, and even closure! I'm getting way ahead of myself here. She's really layered this story throughout Folklore, like under lots of different stories to keep it safe, like we talk about in Paris. But it's all there, and it's really, really beautifully done. Where were we? Taylor Swift breaking the socially acceptable norms of what she's allowed to talk about as a pop star in the public throughout this entire album. Track number 2 is Maroon, and originally I had rated it 2 out of 5 stars. Like, originally not my favorite. Now there's something about it that just hooks me that I love. I love when it's like, burgundy in my t-shirt as you splash the wine into me, and the mark you saw on my collarbone, the rust that grew between telephones. The strength of that image, the rust that grew between telephones, is beautiful. I just see these like rose telephones with the vines being the rust that grew between them. It's gorgeous. Taylor Swift loves to use color to describe the emotions throughout a relationship and the feelings of relationships, and Maroon feels like a more mature red. Like, this was a red-ish relationship, but she was a little older, a little wiser, and kind of just ran with it because it felt good. To me, this song is about the same person she's talking about in Getaway Car. She talks about New York and dancing barefoot, and she chose him, and at that time she had just met him and Joe, and she was kind of still in a relationship with Calvin Harris. It's very hazy what the relationship statuses were. That line, the rubies I gave up, really in my head connects right to Getaway Car 2. Just the idea of them stealing stuff together. The carnations you thought were roses, that was us. We feel like when we listen to her albums that Champagne Problems is also about this relationship, about like him proposing, but she's like not this isn't it. This isn't the one. Like, we're not there. I'm not on the same page here at all. That's what Maroon feels like. Like, he thinks that they're there and he's not seeing that this burned hot and fast and it's maroon, it's red, and it can't last. So I'm gonna give Maroon a 3.5 out of 5 stars because I love the lyrics so much and it's grown on me so much. My other favorite line here that gets stuck in my head all the fucking time is, "And I wake with your memory over me, that's a real fucking legacy." What a line, what an image. Again, he made an impact on her. This relationship had a big impact on her no matter how fast and hard it burned, no matter how red or maroon it was. Track 3! Can you believe I've been talking this long and I'm only on track 3? What the So track 3 is Anti-Hero, the lead single. I absolutely love this song. I agree with the consensus that it might be her best leading single off of an album ever. The first 5 times I listened to it, it made me cry because it's so brutally honest. My favorite line is, "I feel like everyone's a sexy baby and I'm the monster on the hill." You kind of know exactly what she's saying, even though it's such a wild, weird thing for her to put in her lyrics. It honestly sounds like something that Ryan Reynolds would say. I feel like I've heard Ryan Reynolds say the phrase "sexy baby" before, and I honestly feel like maybe he said that and she put the line in her song. Taylor has become such a big name. Going places and trying to do things with people or celebrate other people can be hard to do without distracting from everyone else because she is such a shiny attraction because she shines so bright. It's all connected. Every lyric in Anti-Hero is so good. The line, "When my depression works the graveyard shift, all the people I've ghosted stand there in the room." Ugh, this so perfectly describes her album in general. She's talking about all these different nights where something significant happened in her life or that something significant kept her up thinking, and it's at midnight that these come back to her and that she's reflecting on them, and she's reflecting on them through song. The first person I pictured when I heard that lyric was Taylor Lautner. As the golden girl that she is, it's not like socially acceptable for her to come up and talk about abusing alcohol, but that's what she talks about in this song, and you see her in the video just drinking away her troubles, and that's not something we ever pictured with Taylor Swift until Reputation, when she started talking about alcohol. We're like, whoa, Taylor drinks? And then in Lover, she talks a lot about alcohol. In Folklore, in Evermore, and then here she's like, yeah, this is how a bad way that I've been dealing with my shit. Oh my god, this line comes into my head all the time. "I wake up screaming from dreaming. One day I'll watch as you're leaving, and life will lose all its meaning for the last time." That hit so hard. And then all of our favorite parts of the music video. "I have this dream that my daughter-in-law kills me for the money." And talk about a taboo subject, thinking about how her children will grow up. How do you raise a child with this kind of attention on you and this kind of access to money? Are they bound? Are they destined to be extremely spoiled people? How do I raise them right? How do I give them everything but also teach them how to work for things and be good people? It's this thing that a lot of celebrities must grapple with, and I know I've heard Dax Shepard talk about it. He and Kristen having conversations about this. How do we raise them to appreciate things and not just take everything for granted when we have all this money to give them everything? Of course Taylor Swift must think about it and have this nightmare that her kids turn out to be horrible people because she raised them wrong. She's the problem, it's her. She makes it funny in the music video, but seriously, I'm sure this is something that scares her. And I'm sure all parents grapple with a version of this. How do you raise your kids the right way without messing them up? So Anti-Hero, I give 6 out of 5 stars. It's fantastic. I listened to it a million gajillion times. I never get tired of it. Fucking love it. Moving on, track 4, Snow on the Beach. Weird but fucking beautiful. So originally I gave this 4 stars, but it's gone down to a 3 for me because I think this is the most repetitive song on the album. In my mind, this is another song about falling in love with Joe. There are some callbacks to Folklore, which I thought were really nice because they tie back to, again, my Folklore story web. This scene feels like what I once saw on a screen. Harkens back to lyrics like, "I think I've seen this film before." Joe is her leading man. That's a metaphor that goes with him. We can trace that down to Karma on this album where she's like, "Karma is the guy on the screen coming straight home to me." I fucking love that line. In Hoax, She references back to Mastermind in this too. Stood on a cliffside screaming, give me a reason, your faithless love's the only hoax I believe in. Don't wanna want no other shades of blue but you. I talked about that a lot. Like, she references him as blue all the time. My best laid plan. Fuck! This song is so fucking gut-wrenching. You knew the hero died, so what's the movie for? Again, the reference to the movies, like their love is like a love you see in the movies. But you know that the hero died, like she's not the hero that she makes herself out to be. She's the anti-hero, and he's not the hero that he makes himself out to be. They're both so flawed, and it's like, why are we putting on this act anymore? Like, Snow on the Beach, weird but fucking beautiful, is really catchy. There's the repetitiveness that kind of weighs it down. We hear that line over and over again, but there's also just the fact that, like, Lana Del Rey is on the track, but you really can't hear her at all. That kind of weighs it down. I like the line, stars by the pocketful. I like the tone of it, but it just doesn't hit as hard as a lot of the other songs. Your eyes are flying saucers from another planet. I love that line too. I love how lucky she feels to be in this relationship, to find her person. The image of a beach and falling in love at the beach really also ties back to Joe over and over again with August and with Hits Different This Time, when she's like, the sun burns my heart and the sand hurts my feelings, and I never don't cry, and I never don't cry at the bar. My sadness is contagious, my sadness is contagious. Also, the bar. The bar is another image, another place that consistently refers back to Joe. I'm talking a lot about Hits Different This Time, which is the Target extra song. It's track 14 on the Target edition. Your eyes are flying saucers from another planet. Can this be a real thing? Can it? Again, like the questioning of like, how can this be real? Just in like in Lavender Haze, where she's like, this is too good to be true almost. It's so wonderful that he's not seeing all these things. And then it is too good to be true. That's fucking Folklore. We took a hard left over there. Like, Folklore happens, and then we come back around with all the healing we see through Evermore. And now we're here in this like healthy place where she's reflected on so much and she's so self-aware of everything, and she's letting us know that like, I've learned all of this shit. Do you want to hear it? Here we go. All right, that's Snow on the Beach. We're moving on. You're on your own, kid. You always have been. I fucking love You're on Your Own, Kid. It might be my favorite song on the album. I love it so much. I've listened to it so many times and it still makes me cry. So this is harkening way back to like the stuff we cover in her first two albums. It's to like the very beginning of her career. I didn't assume Taylor Swift was cool because I knew her songs like Invisible and stuff. But you don't assume that people don't like them because they want to pursue a career in the arts. But then you think back to your own high school career and you're like, why did people think you were weird and not like you? And a lot of times it's because people would be like, ugh, that person thinks they're gonna be famous. You know, like that person thinks they're like better than us. Anyone who was like different. So just to be talented in that way was to be different. And different was always bad and weird and mocked. So she's like, summer went away, still the yearning stays. I play it cool with the best of them. I wait patiently. He's gonna notice me. It's okay, we're the best of friends. So like, this is You Belong With Me guy in my head. This is You Belong With Me guy just completely letting her down. There's just one who could make me stay all my days. There's this guy that she has a crush on that she's best friends with, and she's like waiting to see if there'll ever be more. And that's who I picture her talking about all through Speak Now. Speak Now, I feel like, is the daydream of what could have been if this worked out. Like Mine, that's the daydream with this guy. Haunted even. And then we have Midnight Rain, which also feels like it's about the same sort of situation. I feel like there was one boyfriend that came really early that she wrote a lot of the songs like Tim McGraw about. And then there was this guy that she was like BFFs with. We'll never know. I love every line in this song. From sprinkler splashes to fireplace ashes, I waited ages to see you there. I searched the party of bitter bodies. Again, like this bitterness, there is this like blatant bitterness that I feel like people high school age, when someone's really talented, you like feel bitter because they're trying to do something big. I picked the petals, he loves me not. Like she was so sure that there was a relationship coming with this boy that could like stop her from moving away and like pursuing these dreams and just staying in this town. But he was like, no, you're weird, we're just friends. And the idea that you're on your own, kid, in this situation, like you have to be your cheerleader, because at that age, in this place, in high school, no one is going to cheer for you. That high school environment is so mean. You step a toe in any direction of uniqueness and people want to fucking tear you down. It's just like the idea that like if you try hard in gym, people make fun of you like for trying hard. And Taylor's trying hard to do what she wants to do, and of course people want to make fun of her for it. Something different bloomed. Writing in my room, I play my songs in a parking lot. Like, this all hits so hard. I hosted parties and starved my body like I'd be saved by a perfect kiss. My favorite part is this next one. The jokes weren't funny. I took the money. My friends from home don't know what to say. When she's offered this deal, like she's gonna take it. She's gonna run away from this and she's gonna go for it. And the jokes that they're making about her are not fucking funny. They're really mean. And then she's like, I looked around in a blood-soaked gown, like the reference to Carrie there, and I saw something that they can't take away. Oh, the whole bridge. This is when I always cry, because there were pages turned with the bridges burned. Everything you lose is a step you take. So take the friendship bracelets, take the moment and taste it. You've got no reason to be afraid, because everything that happens to you is a part of your story. Everything that happens to you is going to change you. You're going to learn and you're going to grow from that. And it's going to make you stronger and make you wiser. Don't lose out on an experience because you're afraid. If you don't try, like that person's the real loser here. They're just not doing anything because they're too afraid. And there is this idea that people who get famous when they're really young are kind of frozen in that mindset. And Taylor is like the antithesis of that. You're on your own, kid. You always have been. I find this song to just be so inspiring. I feel so connected to it, even though like obviously I had different circumstances, but I'm still a kid who really loved creative things, and it's just not cool in high school, and I still had big dreams. It's almost embarrassing to admit that when you're in high school. All right, track 6, Midnight Rain. I love this track, but it doesn't have the staying power in my brain that the other ones do. So I've given it 4 out of 5 stars. I've seen a lot of people talking about how they think this is about Tom Hiddleston, but I do really think that this resonates with a younger Taylor. A Taylor that is still around high school age. You're on Your Own, Kid feels like a twisted alternate dimension version of Love Story. In Love Story, she's searching and waiting for her prince to come and sweep her off her feet, basically. Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone. I'll be waiting. All that's left to do is run. On Your Own, Kid, she's talking about running away. She's waiting for her Romeo to like kind of come with her, or like do this journey with her, or indicate that he wants to do a future with her. She's saying that that's the only person that could make her stay. And in Romeo and Juliet, she's kind of fantasizing about him running away with her. It's a love story, baby. Just say yes. Like, say you'll come with me. Say we'll be together. And in You're on Your Own, Kid, it's like you feel like she's looking for him. She's waiting for him at this party. She's waiting for him to give her this signal that they're gonna be together, and he just doesn't. He just leaves her hanging. And this Romeo and Juliet version is like, he comes. I got tired of waiting. I keep waiting for you, but you never come. Is this in my head? I don't know what to think. Like, that aspect of it, when you look at it through the lens of You're on Your Own, Kid, it's like, it was in her head, and she didn't know what to think, but it turned out he didn't fucking care at all. Oh my god, y'all, because he was Romeo and she was the Scarlet Letter. She was Carrie. In Love Story, you get like the happy ending. He knelt to the ground and pulled out a ring and said, marry me, Juliet, you'll never have to be alone. Like, this is the alternate version of this, where she marries him and doesn't go off and do her own thing and like pick pain, and he wanted a family and I wanted the pain. You know, what is the Midnight Rain lyrics? What is it again? I wanted that pain. He wanted a bride. I was making my own name, chasing that fame. Another thing that like the Golden Girl doesn't talk about, how they're chasing this career, you're chasing fame. It's this taboo subject. Again, you need to pretend that like, this just like happened to me. And she's like, no, I put my blood, sweat, and tears for this. I hosted parties. I starved my body. Like, I left school. I let go of these relationships. She's talking out loud about all the things she sacrificed because she was yearning so hard for all the aspects of stardom at this point. I was making my own name, he stayed the same, and all of me changed like midnight rain. That's such a fucking beautiful stanza. Again, he stayed in the same place, he got married. Like, when you do what Taylor did and like what so many of us do and like leave where you came from and go off and have all these different experiences, meet all these different people, you're forced to grow in so many different ways because you meet so many different people from different walks of life. You just end up growing in these other ways. He stayed in his comfort zone, stayed the same. I love that I peered through a window, a deep portal, time travel, all the love we unravel, and the life I gave away. And now she's looking at it like, no, I wouldn't have wanted that. I needed this. I needed the pain. I needed the struggle. I needed to chase something. That is what gives me fulfillment, is doing things and chasing things and growing. It's so good! What was my thesis here? Love story is like the happy, bright mirror to You're on Your Own, Kid. And I love how so many of the songs are like that. Like, you can find their counter in an earlier album. So this is, okay, she references Haunted in Midnight Rain, which is like, yes, this is talking about the person in Haunted. I guess sometimes we all get some kind of haunted, and I never think of him except on midnights like this. Like, that's a clear callback to Haunted. I do think it's really funny when she's like, he never thinks of me except when I'm on TV. And I'm like, you're on TV a lot, Tay-Tay. I know, like, not so much on the night shows anymore, but just like, she's mentioned a lot. She's in the zeitgeist a lot. We talk about her. All right, we already talked extensively about Question, which I'm giving like a 6 out of 5 stars. I love Question. Track 8 is Vigilante Shit. Draw the cat eyes sharp enough to kill a man. While this is a cool, slick ass song that honestly is a little bit scary, there's just not much to this song. It's like very straightforward. Like, this is happening. Haha, bitch, I win. There are some really great lyrics. My favorite is probably, he was doing lines and crossing all of mine. It doesn't hit as hard and dig as deep as a lot of the other songs. So I'm giving Vigilante Shit like 2.5 stars. I listen to it, but I'm not like bopping or loving it or getting emotional. I'm just singing it. It's just there. Oh, and we can't forget the line, draw the cat eyes sharp enough to kill a man. And that felt very relevant to my life. I have been a cat eye enthusiast since 2013. All right, moving on to track 9, Bejeweled, which is another hit single that wasn't my favorite. It started off as like my mirror ball of this album. Mirror ball was the one that I didn't really like. I would just skip over it. But it has grown on me to the point where I do like it. I imagine this being about her relationship with Calvin Harris. I imagine her relationship with Calvin Harris got really claustrophobic based upon all the songs and lyrics that I've put together from that time in her life. It feels like he almost felt possessive over who she talked to and where she went, and that she found herself like staying in and not going out and kind of making herself smaller for him so he felt comfortable. I talked about this a long time ago, but in my head, Death by a Thousand Cuts, I know Taylor Swift said something about it being inspired by Someone Great, that movie, but I still think that that song also for her harkens back to her relationship with Calvin Harris. To me, Bejeweled and High Infidelity connect big time. Bejeweled is the lead up to this break. She's realizing that she's feeling claustrophobic. She's realizing that she's like not happy. Baby love, I think I've been a little too kind. Didn't notice you walking all over my peace of mind with the shoes I gave you as a present. Is this relationship where you've given everything and you loved that person and they're not giving it back. They're taking it and using it in ways that hurt you. And that is exactly what she's talking about in so many of her songs, where she needs to get out of this relationship. Like, she needed a reason to leave. Like, going into getaway car, like going into high infidelity. She's like, do I need to tell you how he brought me back to life? In high infidelity, she's talking all about how there's a million ways you can kill the one you love, and the slowest way is never loving them enough. And that is what I feel like is oozing out of Bejeweled. Like, she's giving this person all of her love, and they're just kind of throwing it back in her face. In Bejeweled, she's like, fuck this. I'm getting out of here. I can't do this. I'm being taken for granted. I made you my world, have you heard? But I can reclaim the land. I miss you, but I miss sparkling. Like, you're dulling me. I'm feeling like he's slowly killing her. That is what Death by 1,000 Cuts is. Then in High Infidelity, there's this line, your picket fence is sharp as knives. I was dancing around it. Again, like, he has this fence up. The fact that she's dancing around this picket fence that's sharp as knives and Death by 1,000 Cuts, that just connects so hard for me. That visual, that idea, like, this is all about the same relationship. And I almost feel like looking at the lyrics right now, I don't want to skip around, but I keep having to because these are so connected. So we have this one song in the 3 a.m. section called Bigger Than the Whole Sky, which at first, like, didn't hit me at all because I haven't experienced this, but then I went online and everyone was talking about how it's exactly how they felt when they had a miscarriage. That's another, like, taboo talking subject that, like, for years women never discussed, and we're finally talking about these subjects so people don't feel so alone in their different hardships and journeys. And I listened to the song again, and it very much sounds like that she went through a miscarriage. And I have no idea when this would have happened. Obviously, it's very private, but the fact that this says, like, sapphire tears on my face, sadness came my whole sky in Bejeweled, makes me feel like it might have happened around that time with this person. That could have put a lot of stress on the relationship as well, and added to any struggles that were already happening. I keep having these new epiphanies as I'm looking at the lyrics to different songs right in front of me here, instead of, like, listening to them and learning them, because that's all I've been doing. I've learned all the lyrics through listening to them, but seeing them now with my eyes side by side, I mean, I feel like these all connect. Anyway, Bejeweled and High Infidelity, I think, are very connected. I picture Bejeweled being that night at the Met Gala. I think, did we all picture that? And of course, High Infidelity is also that night. And you can try to change my mind, but you might have to wait in line. Like, you can try to change my mind about our relationship, but, like, I'm already talking to other people. You might have to wait in line. Like, there's 2 other people. Don't put me in the basement when I want the penthouse of your heart. Yeah, there's also this line in here about dragging herself down the aisle. Wait, is that in High Infidelity? Yeah. Storm coming, good husband, bad omen, drag my feet right down the aisle. House lonely, good money I'd pay if you just know me. Seemed like the right thing at the time. Oh my God. It feels like in High Infidelity, maybe she is talking about, like, it seemed the right thing to plan to get married because she was pregnant, and she, like, dragging her feet, like, down this idea, but she doesn't feel like this person knows her. This feels like it references to couples therapy. Good money I'd pay if you just know me. Like, maybe she paid for couples therapy. She didn't feel like this person that she was with, that she might marry because it's the right thing to do, doesn't even know her, doesn't even understand her or see her the way that she needs to be seen. Do you really want to know where I was April 29th? Do I really have to chart the constellations in his eyes? Like, do I really have to connect the dots for him? That this isn't working, that something happened with someone else, that she wants out of this relationship. Like, High Infidelity is one of my favorites on the album. It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. And there's so many references to other songs. Do I really have to tell you how he brought me back to life? Holy fuck! She said so many times how Joe brought her back to life in so many different songs. Is that in Gold Rush? No. Long Story Short? Is it Call It What You Want? All right, of course I paused this and went to go look up the lyrics for Call It What You Want, because it's been a while since I looked at them, and I had to stop and let you know there are lyrics that also mesh up with all of this. In Call It What You Want, she says, I want to wear his initial on a chain around my neck, not because he owns me, but because he really knows me. And then I recall till late November holding my breath. Slowly I said, you don't need to save me, but would you run away with me? And that harkens all the way back to Love Story when she's like, Romeo, save me. And they're going to run away together. He doesn't run away with her and you're on your own, kid, but Joe does run away with her. This is so cute. Okay, so this is Death by a Thousand Cuts. My body, my love, my trust. Gave you too much, but it wasn't enough. Paper cut stings from our paper thin plans. That harkens right back to the plans in High Fidelity about dragging her feet down the aisle because it seemed like the right thing at the time. Oh my God. Gave up on me like it was a bad drug. Oh my God. Gave up on me like I was a bad drug. Now I'm searching for signs in a haunted club. Okay, Labyrinth. We also already talked about Labyrinth. I'm gonna give Labyrinth 2.5 stars. Like, I still don't love it, but I now will like listen to it and sing it and feel the lyrics. I talked about how I feel like that connects to winter, that harkens back to the era with 1989, with Harry, all of that. Track 11! Karma. Karma is my boyfriend. Karma is catchy as fuck. Karma gets 4 out of 5 stars. While it's not like as deep as some of the other songs on the album, it's still really, really fun. I love the imagery in this song. I really want to make a little mini music video to it. My favorite part of this is ask me what I learned from all those years. Ask me what I learned from all those tears. Ask me why so many fade, but I'm still here. I think it's the best song on the album to blast in your car and rock out and scream sing. Then we've got track 12, Sweet Nothings, which is another ode to Joe. Like, this is just such a cute glimpse into like the warm fuzziness of her relationship. I give it 3 stars because I don't go to it. It actually is the skipper on the album for me. I listen to every single song except for Sweet Nothing. I'm just like, I heard it, I'm done. It kind of reminds me of It's Nice to Have a Friend. It has that same vibe to me. And then we have track 13, Mastermind. I love this song. It is so Enneagram 3. I've given it 5 out of 5 stars. I don't have like too much to say on like the depth of the lyrics because it is one of those that's like very straightforward and just like fun to sing. I would say it's like the second best song on the album to blast with your speakers really loudly in the car and scream sing. We've got a few references in here to Joe and different images and metaphors she uses for him throughout Folklore and Evermore, which I really love. We've got the dominoes returning. The dominoes cascaded in a line. What if I told you I'm a mastermind? And then we've got the return of like the naval imagery, you know? In My Tears Ricochet, we've got the battleships going underground. In Gold Rush, we have his eyes are like sinking ships. And then in Mastermind, one of my favorite lines is, I'm the wind in our free-flowing sails and the liquor in our cocktails. The Target edition of track 14, it hits different. It hits different this time. 4 out of 5 stars for It Hits Different. Maybe 4.5. Yeah, it's gone up. It starts off, I washed my hands of us at the club. You made a mess of me. I really picture this happening, like the Great War in their relationship happening during like the Lover promo, the Lover release. Sometime between that Paris performance and the rest of 2019, I pictured you with other girls in love and threw up on the street, like waiting for a bus that never shows. You just start walking on. This bus imagery immediately took me back to the first song on Folklore, The One. Like, this was the first time I heard her mention a bus. I thought I saw you at the bus stop. I didn't though. Oh my God, I hit the ground running. Each night I hit the Sunday matinee. You know the greatest films of all time were never made. Again, here's this film metaphor that she uses all the time with them. And then the chorus is, oh my, love is a lie. Shit my friends say to get me by. It's different. Hits different this time. Catastrophic Blues. Blue again. Moving on was always easy for me to do. It hits different. It hits different because it's you. Now, like, when I was thinking this was Calvin Harris, I was like, why does it hit different? Because it's him. Like, what? And then I realized it hits different because it's fucking Joe. This is Joe. This is the Great War. This is the time that they were apart because of whatever the fuck happened between the two of them. Like, this is what I'm getting from her lyrics. I'm just trying to put together the story she's telling us through the music. I used to switch out these Kens. I'd just ghost, rip the Band-Aid off, and skip town like an asshole outlaw. Like, that references back to Evermore. Cowboy Like Me, where she's talking about how they're both kind of just dating people and like ghosting people, but they found each other. This is also like in Ready For It. The lyrics line up
with the same sort of metaphors about she and Joe. Knew he was a killer first time that I saw him. Wonder how many girls he had loved and left haunted. But if he's a ghost, then I can be a phantom. I mean, that's the same idea here, that they're both ghosting people and jumping around. And then she has her epiphany that she's been doing the same thing. Knew I was a robber first time that he saw me, stealing hearts and running off and never saying sorry. Oh my God, wait. And she says that she's not even sorry in Glitch when she's like, 5 seconds later, I'm fastening myself to you with a stitch and I'm not even sorry. And we know, I mean, like, this song's clearly about Joe because she was like, we're just gonna be friends. And like, it's the whole fucking album of Refutation. Wow, whoa. All right, let's get back to the breakdown of It Hits Different This Time with Past Christine.
Freedom felt like summer then on the coast. That's where they fell in love, like snow on the beach, weird but fucking beautiful, these two outlaws. Like, that's where that happened. Now the sun burns my heart and the sand hurts my feelings because it's become a place where the two of them are together. It's not just her place anymore. And then the bar, like, there's this little bar, what is it called? Hole in the wall bar she always talks about, where she ran into Joe again after they met for the first time. And then, like, the bar is like their place now. The dive bar. And I never don't cry, and I never don't cry at the bar. My sadness is contagious. I slur your name till someone puts me in the car and I stop receiving invitations. And then we got the bridge. I find the artifacts cried over a head. Cursed the space that I needed. That also hit me like, oh, the space that she needed. He kept reaching out and she needed space after this. I traced the evidence, make it make some sense. She's tracing the evidence of this illicit affair and trying to make sense of it, but she can't believe it. Like, this is the hoax. His faithless love is the only hoax she believes in. Like, she cannot make sense of it. Like, how can this be real? As I was listening to this and actually hearing these lyrics and making these connections, I was like, throughout my entire car ride. I listened to this like a million times before this, like 5 to 7 times before this happened. And it all started to hit me. You were the one that I love. Don't need another metaphor. It's simple enough. A wrinkle in time, like the crease by your eyes. This is why they shouldn't kill off the main guy in the movie, man. The movie, the greatest films are never made. The guy on the screen is coming back to me. All of that shit. All of the movie shit. When I had the theory affirmed, it is just like the most magical feeling. I'm like, I did it. I unlocked the code. The fact that this is track 14 and then The Great War is also track 14, and they're both about this really hard time in their relationship. Shit, the correlations, man. Okay, we gotta go to The Great War now because I can't even when I heard The Great War. I've given The Great War 5 out of 5 stars. Just immediately, the word The Great War brings us right back to Epiphany from Folklore, which she said was inspired by her grandfather. But that song is about a lot of different things. Like every song is on Folklore, very, very layered. Like they're not very literal in the sense that you just read it and that's surface level what it's about. And now looking at the Epiphany lyrics, I'm like reading it in a whole different light. This, I feel like, is what she felt like because she's hearkened. I feel like in an interview she talked about how like the closest that she's come to experiencing anything that she would equate to being at war is just like a relationship in war. And there's this line like, crawling up the beaches now, sir, I think he's bleeding out. And she talks about how she feels like she almost lost him at a time. It feels like he was in a really bad place because of what was going on with their relationship, like how she needed space and couldn't process this. My knuckles are bruised like violets, sucker punching walls, cursed you as I sleep talked, spineless in my tomb of silence. Then we go to Epiphany and she's like, holds your hand through the plastic now, Doc, I think she's crashing out. Like they're both crashing out because of where they are in their relationship is what I'm seeing here. Only 20 minutes to sleep, but you dream of some epiphany, just one single glimpse of relief to make sense of what you've seen. This could also be her trying to make sense of what happened with the two of them. And the epiphany can really be what we start to see in Evermore, that there was way more to this than what happened with the cheating. Because all of Folklore is about cheating. In my interpretation here, there was cheating. This epiphany is like the things that led to them being in this place in their relationship. Like, if you listen to Evermore, it's a lot of like taking responsibility for both sides of the story, for both sides of the relationship. She played a part in whatever happened in their relationship, and he played a part. They both played parts. Like, whatever happened wasn't one person's fault. Back to the Great War. Spineless in my tomb of silence on the break, tearing the space. Tore your banners down, took the battle underground. This harkens right back to my tears ricochet when the ships went under the wave. This war between the two of us, what's going on in our relationship, like, it's not going to be public. We're dealing with this very privately. Like, she's talking about it very privately in a very layered fashion throughout her art. Tore your banners down, took the battle underground, and maybe it was ego swinging. Maybe it was her. So whoever it was, flashes of the battle come back to me in a blur. My hand was the one you reached for all throughout the Great War. So it sounds like he keeps reaching out to her, and she keeps being like, no. Sweet dream was over. My hand was the one you reached for all throughout the Great War. Do you not see the song Epiphany when you hear that line? Reaching through the plastic now? And then there's this line, always remember, tears on the letter. And now what do you think of when you think of a letter? Do you not go straight to closure? Do you not think, now I'm looking at closure, because when I first heard closure, I'm like, who is this about? It now feels like this was all connected with the whole situation, with whatever went down with the two of them, where he sent a letter and she was like, fuck this, I don't want your letter, because she wasn't ready to read it. Like, she wasn't ready to deal with this. Let me pull up the closure lyrics. Yes, I got your letter. Yes, I'm doing better. I'm fine with my spite and my tears and my beers and my candles. See, the fact that she called off her dogs, like, she has this line where she's like, I called off whatever. Like, everyone was mad at him, I think, because she told them he cheated, and then she called them off when she started to settle with what had happened and process it, and Evermore. When she gets to the Evermore point of her healing. I really feel like when they got back together, she was like, okay, now we're gonna write about this. We're gonna work through this with music. And like, because I remember when Folklore came out and I was talking about like how I'm interpreting the music, and a lot of people were like, well, he wrote the songs with her. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, they could write music together to work through everything. People can work through things. Life is more nuanced. Yes, I got your letter. Yes, I'm doing better. And then we have like saying yes instead of no at the beginning of like the one. Very much sounds like the same place she was in here. You drew up some good faith treaties. I drew curtains closed, drank my poison all alone. So again, I feel like these good faith treaties were in the letter. Like, compromise, the wanting to try, reaching out. I feel like she was interpreting this at the time as like closure. Or maybe he even was, because they were having such a hard time being apart. Drank my poison all alone. Talking about her vices. You said I have to trust more freely, but diesel is desire. You're playing with fire. The trust more freely line also like makes me think of Anti-Hero. You know, on the blackboard it says like trust no one, because that's what she's been programmed to do throughout all the time she's been burned in the last however many years of her life. And maybe that's the past talking, screaming from the crypt, telling me to punish you for things you never did. So like, going all the way back to Lover, it sounds like she was constantly really paranoid about him being around other women, because everybody wanted him. Everyone thought he was beautiful. Everyone had crushes on him. So it was hard for her to trust that nothing was ever going to happen. And she would accuse him when she got paranoid of things that didn't happen. But then something actually did. That's where shit went to Folklore. That's where shit broke down into club, and she washed her hands of him and needed space. So next we have like, it turned into something bigger. Somewhere in the haze, got a sense I'd been betrayed. The haze were obviously referencing back to Lavender fucking Haze. Her Lavender Haze, her love bubble there. Somewhere in that love bubble, she got the sense she'd been betrayed. Soldier down on the icy ground, looked up at me with honor and truth, broken in blue, so I called off the troops. They separated, and they were both in really bad places, and he was in a very bad place. I feel like they started to try to work things out after that. And they survived the Great War, and she vowed that she'd always be yours. This is like the most folklorian song on the album, and it really like summarizes that entire saga in one song. Then we have Bigger Than the Whole Sky. I'm not gonna delve into that one so much. I already talked about it. I'm gonna give it 2 out of 5 stars in terms of like, I don't want to listen to it ever. It's very, very sad. And then we come to my favorite track 16, 7 out of 5 stars, Paris. Because we are in Paris. This song is euphoric. I love it so much. I feel like it really jives with Again But Better as well. Like Again But Better in the second half when they go to Paris. I love her. No, I didn't, but thanks though. I'm so in love, I might stop breathing. Like, wow. That sentence alone just blew me away. It is that euphoria of just falling in love. It's being in the fucking haze. And to me, I think of this song as when she was in Paris for that one show she did for Lover. It was the only show she did. It was the only show she did. I don't know if this was true because I feel like I saw it on Tumblr, but people talking about her looking in the audience and like smiling up at Joe as she sang all her songs about Joe. I love the line privacy sign on the door, on my page, and on the whole world. Romance is not dead if you keep it just yours. Oh, I just listened to this song over and over. When I was really sick and like throwing up, I was just like singing Paris in my head to like try to get out of like mind over matter, like away from like the terribleness I was feeling in my body. We were in Paris and now I was just singing it over and over again. And I still like find it's now like my anxiety song. Like my song used to be that song by Yellow Card, Believe, Be Strong, Believe. And sometimes that still comes into my head when I'm really anxious and I need something to just like get my mind out of here. But it's been Paris lately. Like, we are in Paris. Fucking love this song. All right, track 17, High Infidelity. We already talked about this a lot. Oh, I've given this one like 11 stars on this. Look how many stars are next to High Infidelity. I love this song. There's this one stanza in Time to Go that also kind of harkened back to High Infidelity and this whole relationship to me. He sits on his throne in his palace of bones, praying to his greed. He's got my past frozen behind glass, but I've got me. And I know that can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, but the line specifically, praying to his greed, made me think of the lyrics in High Infidelity where she was like, you said I was freeloading. I didn't know you were keeping count, but oh, you were keeping count. And having her past frozen behind glass. I mean, that was one of her longest relationships before the relationship she's in now. I've always really loved that line, you have my past frozen behind glass, but I've got me. Bejeweled is like her coming back out and being like, I still shine, like I can still be myself and go places and do things, and like you don't rule over me, I can reclaim the land. And now she has herself because it was time to fucking go. Like Time to Go goes right along with those songs. This is why I love her music so much, and why I'm so excited about the Eras Tour, because all of these stories flow into each other. The lyricism all connects. Like, it's the work of a fucking mastermind. Track 18 is Glitch. I'm gonna give Glitch 3 stars. It's catchy after a while. It's a more surface level song, and it's talking about her relationship, like the beginning of her relationship felt like they were just gonna be friends, and again, like she was already in these other relationships. It was very complicated and messy. And they caught feelings and things got complicated and more complicated. There's not many lyrics in Glitch either. It's a lot of like, Glitch. My favorite line in Glitch is, I thought we had no chance, and that's romance. Let's dance.
All right, folks, just FYI, my mic went out here, so you're going to be hearing the regular camera audio. It's a drop in audio quality. I apologize. I was filming for 3.5 hours straight. I didn't even realize the battery on my mic went out.
I like the idea of when you think you have no chance with someone, that's when something feels the most romantic. It feels the most surreal that it's actually happening. Would've, could've, should've. This is like a 9 star. It's like 9 out of 5 stars. Ooh, the paint line. I love the ooh. All I used to do was pray. This song feels clearly about John Mayer. If you would have blinked, then I would have looked away at the first glance. I feel like This is referencing fucking Enchanted. I was enchanted to meet you. Walls of insincerity, shifting eyes and vacancy vanished when I saw your face. This is me praying that this was the very first page, not where the storyline ends. My thoughts will echo your name until I see you again. Like, I have no idea who she wrote Enchanted to Meet You about, but like, it could easily be about the same relationship. If I was some paint, did it splatter on a promising grown man? Did her little song about him ruin his career? And even the paint reference, paint me a blue sky and go back and turn it to rain in Dear John. Oh yeah, she has the word paint. I look back and regret when I ignored when they said run as fast as you can. See these Dear John lyrics that these are Dear John lyrics that I never dissected because I didn't like the song Dear John back in the day. I took your matches before fire could catch me, so don't look now. I'm shining like fireworks over your sad empty town. Then I re-listened to I Knew You Were Trouble, and she says, flew me to places I've never been. And I was like, is that a sex metaphor? Back to would've, could've, should've. All I used to do was pray. I damn sure never would have danced with the devil at 19. And the God's honest truth is that the pain was heaven. Right away, that brings me back to Midnight Rain, which we just listened to. Midnight Rain, she's like, and I wanted that pain. And that was when she was mid-teens. And this is like late teens. It's like her first solid relationship after that high school era. And she's harkening back to like, the pain was heaven. Like, she was enjoying the experience. And now that she's grown, she's scared of ghosts. Memories feel like weapons. Now that I know, like, now that she knows more and she's looking back on this relationship and she sees so many things that hurt her and messed with her psyche in so many different ways, now those memories are painful. Whereas when she was experiencing them then, it was all for the first time. She didn't know how to process it. It's all very, very sad. And if you never saved me from boredom, I would have gone on as I was, but Lord, you made me feel important, and then you tried to erase us. Again, right back to Dear John. Yeah, you and your sick need to give love and take it away. I love the line, you're a crisis of my faith. Like, you as a person are a crisis of my faith. Like, you are making me break all the vows I made to myself earlier on. The chorus of this song, it's like being shot with a paintball gun over and over again. You see what I did there with the paint? God rest my soul, I miss who I used to be, the tomb won't close. Stained glass windows in my mind. I regret you all the time. And then, of course, the bridge, like, rips out your heart and throws it over there in the closet, and then, like, drops a ton of clothes on it. And then the hanger, like, gets stuck in it. And living for the thrill of hitting you where it hurts with all the songs. Give me back my girlhood, it was mine. She has to perform this song, right? Like, she has to do this song. It is gut-wrenching. Like, how could she not perform this? It still baffles me these songs that are on the 3 a.m. edition aren't considered the real album. It's doing disservice to everyone that is like a casual fan and a regular fan not having them on the official album. Like, are these 3 a.m. editions gonna be staples on the tour? Or are they just 3 a.m.? Like, I don't want them to just be 3 a.m. I don't want them to be the extra songs. I don't want them to be We Found Wonderland, because I fucking love that song and I never get to hear it live. She's never performed that song live, have she? This song needs to be live. The line stained glass windows in my mind, that is a perfect description of these things that you can't let go of. They're stained glass windows and you just see them over and over again every time you pass them. Like, they're the windows in her head, like, that you walk past in the hallways of your own fucking mind. I'm like angry ranting now about how good this song is. Track 20, Dear Reader. When this was track 20, I was like, Dear Reader? Do you mean me? I'm a reader. And number 20, that's my number. So Dear Reader, it didn't catch me until all of a sudden, like, on the 10th listen, I realized that it was about when she deleted, like, literally all her social media before Reputation came out. I was like, oh. Dear Reader, if it feels like a trap, you're already in one. So I'm imagining this is when the whole phone call debacle with the word bitch in the song happened. Burn all the files, desert all your past lives. She did the closest thing she can to burning all the files, which is deleting everything on her Instagram. I remember looking at her Instagram and like, what happened? When the snake was the only thing on her Instagram. And if you don't recognize yourself, that means you did it right. The old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. Why? She's dead. I love the aspect of this, that she's giving us advice throughout this whole thing, but she's also like, but I'm falling apart, so you should find someone else to be your guiding light. And I'm sorry, like I shine so bright, so it's hard to look away. And you want me to be your guiding light, but you shouldn't take advice from me because I'm falling the fuck apart. I love the line, if you knew where I was walking to a house, not a home, all alone because nobody's there, where I pace in my pen and my friends found friends who care. No one sees when you lose when you're playing solitaire. This is such a lonely song. I gave Dear Reader 3.5 stars because it's so subtle that it takes a really long time to like it. But it too is very good. Like, this is a very good album. It's like the missing pieces from all her other albums. That's what this is. It's like little puzzle pieces that you couldn't quite fill in when you listened to every other album. You just had to guess. And she's like, here's a magic piece so you can understand this even more. So what is my final ranking of the song? This was really, really hard. But here we go. Let's do it. We'll start from the bottom here. Coming in at 20 for me is Bigger Than the Whole Sky. 19, I have Glitch. 18, Labyrinth. 17, Sweet Nothings. At 16, I've got Lavender Haze. Then at 15, Dear Reader. 14, Snow on the Beach. 13, Bejeweled. 12, Midnight Rain. 11, Maroon. 10, It Hits Different. 9, The Great War. 8, Karma. Coming in at 7, I've got Mastermind. 6, Can I Ask You a Question? 5, High Infidelity, Babe. 4, Anti-Hero. 3, You're on Your Own, Kid. You always have been. Then at number 2, we've got Would've, Could've, Should've. And then at 1 is Paris. That song makes me so fucking happy. In no world could it not be number 1. Like, I want that. I want that love. That was a whirlwind. I love to hear your thoughts on any of the thoughts that I've shared. My name's Christine. I have a podcast called Those Working Fangirls where we talk about Taylor Swift all the gosh darn time because we love her so much, and everything nerdy pop culture related, books, TV, movies, Taylor Swift, all those things we talk about in the pod weekly every Friday. So if you want to check that out, you can follow it for free on your favorite podcast app, or we have a YouTube channel where there's a visual version. It's called Those Working Fangirls. I'm going to leave a link in the description. I'm an author. I write books with lots of Taylor Swift references because I fucking love her, obviously. My first book's called A Gang But Better. It's a college study abroad rom-com. And then I have Better Together. It's about two sisters who are reuniting after 13 years apart, and while that's happening, they're also like finding different love interests and experiencing first love. Both books are about people in their early 20s. Thank you so much for watching, for commenting, interacting. If you like this, please hit the like button. It really helps me out. I'm Christine, and I will see you next time.
And then my camera died before I could say bye.